Oh, amazing. Look at this. This is my first time doing a YouTube live, and at the same time, I also will be doing an Instagram live. So please bear with me as I set that up. Again, this is like all new territory for me. But give me a second. So at the same time I say this, I'm going to be looking at two different screens, which will be probably a little distracting, but at the same time, this is me multitasking and making the most of it. So give me a second. Setting it up. Hello, 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 hello. Happy Friday, everybody. I just to let you know, Instagram world, I'm also doing a live on YouTube because I wanted to test the technologies. So this is my opportunity to kind of do that. So that's a total side note, irrelevant to the content and what I'm going to be talking about today. But basically, hello, everybody. It's Friday. I just wanted to get on here. Hello to everybody joining the room. Yeah, I just wanted to get on here and kind of just speak my piece about things. As we all know, in the dance community, the dance industry, we had the recent passing of Stephen Twitch, as we all have come to know and love him. And yeah, it's been a couple days now from his passing, but obviously it stirred up a lot of different reactions, a lot of different insights, a lot of different responses to his passing. And I kind of wanted to just, yeah, take the space and opportunity to speak my piece about it all. And also kind of challenge the dance industry, the community, the family to, say like this is a moment in time where we're faced with something and it's jarring us to reflect on how we've done things already. And so now we've come to this point, this day of reckoning with his passing, where we're like, okay, what can we do moving forward? What can we change if we need to change anything? Or how do we change just within our own little world and our own sphere of influence, let alone the whole systematic way that we do things and then we operate as a dance collective, we'll say. Um, but yeah, I think for me personally, I did not know Twitch personally, but I had the pleasure of watching him grow over the years. I mean, granted, through the public filter, right? The public eye. But I loved watching him on Ellen. I loved watching him on So You Think You Dance. That was like the early days. And I loved seeing him grow, not just as a dancer, but also as a man. And seeing him, you know, with his family and connecting with Allison and being able to grow his own little boss tribe. And like, that's been a pleasure to see, not just because, like for me, not just in terms of dance is what I'm trying to say, like just being able to see a holistic growth of an individual who I've really come to look up to over the years. And granted, like him as a human, he's amazing. Like you could just tell, like dancer to dancer, like a moving person to moving person, like whenever somebody moves, you feel like you see a little glimpse of their soul. And you could tell, even through the screen watching him, like I could just tell he's a really, really authentic, genuine person who does things because of his, genuine love for people. And that was very, very, rings very true. And so, man, I'm kind of getting off a little off track, I think, but I appreciate this space to just kind of talk about this. But yeah, I also, as a dancer and as a professional and as hip unique to his story, he represents the hip hop street world and he like carved away. He like, hacked a path for all of the hip hop street people to come after him. Like he created the way for a lot of us to come into a new scene, a new industry. And that is immense. That legacy alone is huge for him to really like rewrite the narrative of what hip hop looks like and, freestyle and street styles. And so I see him as such a mentor, such a role model, such a trailblazer for the community that I have come to grow and love. So yeah, just alone in that, you know, his life has meant a lot, to not just me, but to a lot of different people. And it's evident if you scroll on Instagram, it's not very, I mean, granted, the algorithms are on our side, right? But like for me to be able to just scroll, I'm like, oh my gosh, another post about Twitch, another post about Twitch. And the love is just exuding. It's just pouring out, for him, and validating that he was such an influential person. And Twitch really, with the way that he carved the path for a lot of us hip hop street people, um, the way that he did it was so genuine. It wasn't like he was trying to like backdoor anybody, or he's like wasn't trying to be like shady or anything. He was just showing up as himself, being a representative of the culture and doing his thing as a master of the techniques that he's learned and his art form. And then he positioned himself well because he's, obviously took chances to like go on to like Wade Robson project. I think those were his like early days. And then he like went to So You Think You Can Dance. And then all of a sudden he's in like the entertainment industry in the sector. And then, he got on Ellen. So that's entertainment and stuff. But like he's also maintained his ties to the street hip hop community, which is amazing. So he's always advocated for it, even on, So You Think You Could Dance. Like he's been such an advocate for that art form. And then he's also has like a foot in like the competition sector and that whole circuit. So he's like a lot of different a lot of worlds collide and intersect in him, because of his path and the way he did things. And again, oh man, Twitch, like you are such an influential person. Like I just hope that wherever you are, you feel the love from everybody that's just like pouring out for you right now. And it is a shame. But again, the flip side of this conversation is like, okay, like let's talk about his passing and like why he passed and how it pertains to us as artists. So I will say this. So as artists, like okay, well, let me back it up. As dance artists, like our identity is very in tuned and intertwined with our art form, dance, right? But sometimes I think that almost like limits us. And I always am challenging people in my content to say like, hey, you're more than a dancer. You are an artist. You are a creative, right? So at the core of you, you want to create, you want to explore, you want to, test, you're curious, all of these things. And that's like the essence of what makes us a dance artist. And so again, linking back to the creative spirit of us, like we are susceptible to a lot of different things. At the same time that we see the world as, infinite and possibilities are endless and like, oh, let's ask this question and see if we can figure out the answer. There's that flip side where we're like, we also feel really heavy and we also feel, and I'm like, are empathic and like we can take on a lot of things. And yeah, we're kind of susceptible to the heavy parts of it just as much as we are prone to be inspired and taken to higher heights with you know, our expansive energy. And so that's something that we need to really be mindful of, not just in our individual paths and ourselves, but as an industry and as a collective and a community and a family. Like we are so dynamic, the way that we are as artists, that we also need really dynamic resources and support to help us exist in wellness, if that makes sense. And that's also something that I always am trying to advocate for. Like, granted, I always take the spin of like owning your art so that you can show up as a business and show up in the world and make the money that you deserve and all this stuff. But like at the end of the day, if we're not well and if we're not, happy and we're not okay on a human level with our basic needs, our psychological mental health, like then our art is never gonna matter. No, it doesn't matter what we do, right? It only matters like how we're actually feeling inside. And so I kind of want to like challenge the dance world to say like, hey, like understanding Twitch's passing and like what that all means and everything that transpired with his story, like what can we do differently to help us as dance artists, right? We all know that dance artists just like struggle with like a minimum amount of support. Like I say many times that a lot of our training, whether it be in the studio or on the streets, like a lot of our training just has to do with the technique, right? It has to do with our learning the art form, technicalities of it. And we're so focused on that sometimes like we're like not thinking about the whole picture. But when you look at other industries, like, okay, let's say for athletes, example, in sports, like those industries have immense support, immense resources for one athlete. So like one athlete has like a PT, one athlete has like a massage therapist, one athlete has like a psychological performance, like enhancement kind of psychologist, counselor person, like they have immense support and resources. And like when you think about dancers, thanks to dance science, like I've learned, I mean, I knew this intuitively, but dance science has proven with its research showing how dynamic dancers are. We are not just athletes. We are athletes, but we're not just athletes. We are also artists. So we have that whole emotional, somatic, like ooey gooiness to us that needs to be supported just as much. And so, really, when you think about dance artists, we have so many hats that we wear. Yes, we're, training and like trying to get stronger so that we can communicate better through our art form and like communicate it in a way that aligns with the foundations. But then also, we're like trying to like make ourselves feel good through our art. And so that comes with a whole emotional, like psychological, creative, oh, there's my son. Hi, sweet one. Aspect of it all. So yeah, it's kind of a lot. That's another thing, right? So we're like humans as well that have other goals and dreams and desires to achieve. Like for me, like I wanted to be a mom, case in point. And so, yeah, we are athletes. Yeah, we're artists, but we're also humans and we're also people that have things that we want to achieve and, goals, greater goals, right? Not just within our art form. So, anyways, I got a little distracted from my son, but yeah, I just kind of wanted to get on here and talk about a lot of layers that have come up from tWitch's passing. Again, oh man, I was just so floored. And also, like, I'm really sad for Twitch and his passing because it was such a genuine person. And again, I didn't know him personally, but I felt like I did. And like watching him over these years grow has just been such a pleasure. And I am so thankful for the path that he's carved for so many people. And like the people he's mentored, I look up to those people too. So it's just been like a legacy of inspiration through his life. But at the same time, like, the flip side of this conversation is that like he's passed through suicide. And like what does that mean for us as a community, as industry? Like how can we help others not get to that point where they feel like the only option is to end their life, and also not stigmatize it where it's just like, oh, that was his thing, and like, oh, why didn't he do better, why was he so selfish? Like those kind of conversations aren't helpful. Like we don't try to stigmatize people who have illness in a physical form. Like I heard Mel Robbins say something about like, mental illness is kind of like cancer. You don't just say like, oh well, you just get better, right? Like, well, you don't be so selfish in having cancer. Like we give them grace. And so the same with mental illness, it's an illness. So like we have to give them grace. So how do we do that in a way that's helpful for our community and to really support us as the dynamic beings that we are? Yeah, that's kind of a lot of words. And I feel like I said things over and over again, but I'm really curious about what you guys are taking away from his story and his life. And like, granted, like it's still early days. And for the people who really knew him well, like I'm just sending my love and my light to you. But for the people who aren't so interconnected, that can have a little bit of space to really, really reflect and process what this means on a greater scale, I really challenge you all to kind of think about how this affects your life and how it affects the dance community and the dance industry, the dance family and your dance friends and cohorts. And, I ask you, like, what can you change to make it like 1% different, 1% better, right? Whether it be you taking the time now to like check in with people regularly, or you taking the time to journal, to get shit out, because like it's not going to do any good just staying in your head. If it's good feelings, bad feelings, like emotions are meant to flow out. So like stuff like journaling is really, really key. But again, it's kind of like, what can we do to make it just like 1% better? Like learning from his story, learning from, hi about it, learning from this tragedy. right? But also doing it in a way that honors who we are as brilliant, beautiful, creative beings. And so, yeah, I just kind of wanted to put that out there. I don't want to talk forever, but I just wanted to kind of, yeah, speak my piece, honor his life, honor his legacy, and challenge all of us to do better at it minimally, right? Do what you can to just be a little bit better and be a little more mindful and be a little more kind. So, on that note, a happy Friday. Hope you guys have a wonderful, splendid weekend. Take time to be with your friends and family. Um, and yeah, just be grateful for what you have. And that's all. All right. Cheers. Bye bye, y'all. I'm not sure how to end this. I think I'm supposed to end it. Oh, there it is. End button. Peace out.